The Warhammer 40k Universe. In the far future of Warhammer 40k, humanity rules a huge empire spread across a million planets, but it's barely holding together. And after 10,000 years of non-stop war, extreme religious beliefs, and a broken government, science has basically become superstition. People live packed into giant polluted cities, treated more like tools than humans. And they all worship the God Emperor, a half-dead ruler stuck on life support throne that needs thousands of souls sacrificed daily just to keep him going. And to travel between stars, humans rely on mutant nobles called navigators, and these guys help steer ships through the warp, a weird and dangerous dimension full of raw emotion and psychic storms. And if the Emperor's psychic signal ever dies out, faster than light, travel stops, and the whole empire could collapse overnight. The warp is also home to the Chaos Gods, Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, and Slaanesh. They're beings created from strong emotions like rage and desire, and they are always trying to break into the real world through cults, possessed people, and massive energy storms. Long ago, a top general named Horus betrayed the Emperor and started a galaxy-wide civil war known as the Horus Heresy. It almost destroyed humanity, and even now, the chaos he unleashed still haunts the galaxy. And to fight all this madness, humanity has the Adeptus Astartes. They are super soldiers in massive armor. They are insanely powerful but rare, with only about 1,000 per chapter, and most of the fighting is done by regular soldiers in the Imperial Guard. Billions of humans with basic weapons thrown into hopeless battles where entire planets are lost or sacrificed. And if a planet steps out of line or gets infected by chaos, the Inquisition might just wipe out all life on it with a massive space bombardment. And about humanity's enemies, there are orcs, green monsters whose weapons work just because they believe they do, the Eldar, ancient psychic elves trying to undo the mess they made by accidentally creating a chaos god, the Chau, they are high-tech aliens pushing their version of peace with a side of mind control, and then there are the Tyranids, giant space bugs that eat entire worlds, and the Necrons, robot zombies waking up with weapons that can blow up planets. And everything takes place during a time literally called the Time of Ending. So every day brings new disasters, massive alien invasions, warp storms, or chaos uprisings, and hope only shows up in small moments, like a legendary hero returning or ancient tech being rediscovered. But no matter what, one thing is always true in Warhammer 40k. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. The Berserk Universe. This world might look like your typical grim medieval fantasy at first, kingdoms at war, plague-filled towns, and mercenaries fighting just to stay alive, but under all that dirt and steel lies something much darker. Reality itself is controlled by a godlike force called the idea of evil, which feeds off humanity's pain and suffering. And to keep people trapped in this misery, it hands out strange objects called behemoths, creepy, red egg-shaped charms that activate during a person's worst moment. And if someone gives up everything and everyone they care about, the behemoth opens a portal to another dimension, where the God Hand, 5 terrifying demons, offer a deal. Sacrifice your loved ones, and in return, you'll become an apostle, a powerful monster with eternal life. The most horrifying behemoth moment is known as the Eclipse, and that's when Griffith, the noble leader of the Band of the Hawk, betrays his entire army, including his best friend Guts and lover Casca, to become one of the God Hand, transforming into a demon called Femto. And the Eclipse is pure nightmare fuel. The sky turns blood red, time breaks, and monsters rip people apart in a giant slaughter. Guts and Casca barely survive, but Casca is traumatized beyond repair, and Guts is left cursed, branded with a mark that constantly attracts ghosts and demons, making his life a never-ending battle. Now apostles hide all over the land, pretending to be nobles, generals, even priests, until their monstrous nature takes over. Each one's form matches their darkest desires. A glutton turns into a giant slug, a prideful knight becomes a living suit of armor, and they are insanely tough, with the strength to crush armies, heal from any wound, and summon hordes of demons. Normal people don't stand a chance, so many just accept sacrifices as part of life to avoid worse fates. And while the monsters are bad enough, the human world is collapsing too. The Midland Kushan War is tearing the continent apart. The Kushan Emperor is basically a demonic wizard who brings giant beasts, plagues, and monsters into battle. Refugees flee into cursed forests, only to be hunted by evil spirits. And then Griffith comes back, pretending to be a savior. He builds the city of Falconia, a supposed utopia that's only safe because it's protected by demon knights, and backed by hell itself. And at the heart of all this is Guts, the lone warrior on a brutal quest for revenge, armed with his massive Dragon Slayer sword and wrapped in cursed armor that boosts his rage but eats away at his body and mind. he fights through both human and demonic enemies. He's trying to protect what little hope remains, especially Casca, whose mind was shattered during the eclipse, and sticks with a small group of misfits who follow him despite the danger. So the world of Berserk is deadly because the entire universe here seems built to crush people's spirits. No human, weak, strong, knight or king is safe. The Crossed Universe. One day, everything is normal, and then a mysterious infection spreads like wildfire. It's passed through blood, spit, or just being too close when someone turns. And the infected don't die or become zombies. Instead, they develop a red, cross-shaped rash on their faces, and their minds snap. They lose all empathy and go full-on violent, acting out every sick, twisted urge without any filter. And the worst part, they stay smart. They remember how to drive, shoot, and think tactically. They just choose to use those skills for pure evil. And these people, called the Crossed, aren't mindless. They want to hurt others, not just kill. They'll set traps, ambush survivors, and laugh while burning alive if it means freaking someone out. They'll film their horrors, or leave grotesque scenes behind as a message. They are relentless, creative, and they don't stop unless they are dead. A bite, a scratch, and even a bit of blood in your mouth, and you are one of them. With governments wiped out almost instantly, survivors scatter into tiny, desperate groups. Some hide in walled-off towns, others float on makeshift rafts, and many just keep moving, never trusting strangers. Staying safe means total silence at night, no fires, and if someone even has a cut, they are gone. And the emotional toll of this constant fear breaks communities from the inside, often long before any Crossed even show up. And over time, the infection evolves in more disturbing ways. Some Crossed, like a cunning one named Smokey, actually holds back their urges, just long enough to organize the others into armies. And these smarter Crossed lay sieges on survivor strongholds and turn chaos into strategy. A century later, in Crossed Plus 100, the world has gone backward. No more tech, just small medieval-style villages trying to hold on, while Crossed still roam the wilds. And even though their numbers have dropped, it only takes one infected person to start it all over again. The world of Crossed is brutally hopeless on purpose. There's no cure, no safe zone, no team of heroes coming to save the day. Every day you survive is a gamble. The Mist Universe. The Mist starts off in a peaceful little town, Bridgeton, Maine, right after a big thunderstorm. But things get weird fast. A thick, white fog rolls in, blocking visibility to just a few feet. Phones stop working, and people who step outside vanish after hearing strange noises. There are rumors that a nearby military base, the Arrowhead Project, was messing with other dimensions, letting the Mist and all its horrors into the world. And inside it are creatures that feel like a mix between dinosaurs and aliens. Huge tentacles can squeeze under doors, bugs the size of birds slam into windows, and giant spiders shoot acid webs that melt skin. Even worse, massive shadowy monsters roam the Mist. And these creatures hunt using sound and body heat, so even making noise or cracking open a door could get you killed. And because the Mist is so quiet and thick, you won't even see what's coming until it's too late. In the movie, a group of survivors ends up stuck in a supermarket, but the real danger isn't just outside, it's also inside. With no law, no answers, and growing fear, the people start splitting into groups. One group follows David Drayton, a practical guy who wants to find a way out. Another falls under the spell of a religious fanatic who believes the Mist is God's punishment and that human sacrifices will make it go away. And as food runs low and panic rises, regular folks start doing horrifying things, all because they are scared and desperate. And in both Stephen King's original story and the 2007 movie, the Mist ends with no one ever proves what caused the fog to appear. Maybe it's really the Arrowhead Project, but there's no clear way to fix it. And we never really find out how far the disaster goes. Maybe it's just Bridgeton, and maybe it's the whole world. The Cthulhu Mythos Universe. Originally created by H.P. Lovecraft and later expanded by other writers, this universe is all about one terrifying idea. Humans are in the center of the universe. We are barely even a blip. Long before Earth even existed, ancient godlike beings called the Great Old Ones and Outer Gods were already out there, building planets, dimensions, and who knows what else for reasons no human could ever understand. Some of them, like the massive Cthulhu, are sleeping deep under the ocean, or trapped in other dimensions. Others, like Azathoth, a blind chaos god that sits at the center of everything, are still alive, if you can call it that, surrounded by creepy flute-playing creatures whose music literally holds the universe together. and just seeing one of these beings is enough to shatter your mind, because their shapes, forms, and existence don't follow any rules we know, and Earth is full of weird leftovers from these beings. Ancient ruins in the middle of the ocean, strange structures, or crash sites full of alien materials. And these things mess with people's minds. Sensitive people might start having bizarre dreams or visions, and eventually they get obsessed. Some go mad, scribbling strange symbols or painting disturbing images, and others join secret cults that believe if they can wake up these gods, they'll gain power of enlightenment. And central to all of this is the infamous Necronomicon, a fictional cursed book written by a mad Arab. This book contains forbidden spells, ancient knowledge, and one soul-crushing truth. The universe isn't guided by good or evil, just by cosmic forces way beyond our control. And the real horror in the Cthulhu Mythos is about slowly realizing that everything we believe in, from science to religion, could be wiped out in an instant if one of these beings stirs. In fact, the more humans learn, the more we explore space or try to understand reality, and the more likely we are to uncover things we were never meant to know. And people who study the wrong things, like forgotten languages, ancient ruins, or higher dimensional math, often end up insane, or they become pawns of something bigger and darker than we can comprehend. Interestingly, most stories in this mythos don't end with the end of the world. Usually, someone manages to interrupt a cult ritual at the last minute, or the summoning goes wrong and the monster only partly shows up. One person usually survives and is left to tell the tale. And that's kind of the core of the mythos. We live in a tiny bubble of peace, only pretending everything's normal, and humanity can't actually beat these gods, but sometimes we can delay them. The SCP Universe. This world is all about a secret organization called the SCP Foundation, a global group working in the shadows to keep the world from falling apart. They don't show up on the news, but they've got deep government funding, hidden labs under cities and ice caps, and their own private armies. And their motto is secure, contain, and protect. Anytime something strange or supernatural pops up, something that breaks the laws of physics or reality, the Foundation steps in, they lock it away, cover it up, and make sure the public never knows how close we are to total disaster. So most people have no idea that reality almost collapses all the time. And the stuff they contain, called SCPs, can be harmless, terrifying, or world-ending. One SCP might be a cute blob of orange goo that makes people feel super happy. Another might be a creepy concrete statue that snaps your neck if you look away. And there's also a staircase that goes down forever, and SCP-682, a giant lizard that hates literally everything and refuses to die. And each SCP needs its own special containment setup. Maybe lasers, music, rituals, or even entire fake realities. Escapes do happen, so the Foundation keeps mobile task force, basically elite squads, on standby to recontain, or blow up whatever gets loose. But the Foundation isn't exactly the good guys. One part of the Foundation is debating whether intelligent anomalies have rights, while another is dissecting unkillable monsters for research. Scientists fight over theories, and everything is ultimately controlled by the mysterious O5 Council, 13 secretive leaders who know everything, and have even wiped entire timelines to stop things from getting out. And they are not alone either. Other groups want in on the weird stuff. The Chaos Insurgency seals dangerous SCPs for profit. Are We Cool Yet is a group of artists who make public horror shows out of reality-bending objects. Then there are cults like the Church of the Broken God, who worship machines, and the Sarkics, who want flesh and chaos to rule. Even regular governments get involved. Some want weapons and others just want answers. And with more SCPs contained, the Foundation is starting to realize that these anomalies aren't just rare accidents. They are signs that reality itself is breaking down. Every time they contain one threat, two more pop up. The world is hanging by a thread, and the only thing holding it together is a group of people willing to erase their memories, sacrifice test subjects, and hope the next weird report doesn't end with Earth neutralized. The Dark Souls Universe. It all starts way back in the Age of Ancients, a grey lifeless world filled with giant stone dragons and nothing ever changing. Then out of nowhere, a mysterious first flame appears, and from that flame come powerful souls, claimed by 4 beings: Gwyn, Lord of Sunlight, the Witch of Izalit, Nero, Lord of the Dead, and a forgotten figure known as the Furtive Pygmy, who holds the Dark Soul, the source of humanity. And with their new powers, they overthrow the dragons and create a golden age known as the Age of Fire, where gods rule shining cities like the famous Ainur Londo. But here's the catch: the flame isn't eternal. As it begins to fade, bad things start happening, most notably the undead curse. Humans marked by this curse can't really die, but each time they resurrect, they lose a bit of themselves. Memories, emotions, and even sanity, until they become empty shells called hollows. And in a desperate move to keep the fire burning, Gwyn sacrifices himself to rekindle it, trapping the world in an endless loop of decay and rebirth. And ever since, every age comes down to one question: should someone link the fire again to keep the light going, or let it fade and bring about the Age of the Dark, which might finally let humanity take center stage, and you as the player step into this crumbling world as different figures, like the chosen undead, bearer of the curse, or unkindled, all sent on a journey to decide the fate of the world. And the lands you travel are all falling apart, full of ruins, twisted architecture, and echoes of lost civilizations. You meet NPCs like knights, mages, or clerics, who are all clinging to some quest or goal they barely remember, and in many ways they are reflections of you. And lurking beneath it all is the Abyss, a creeping darkness born from humanity's emotions and desires. Characters like Manus, the Four Kings, and the tragic Artorias show how this darkness can twist even noble intentions into corruption. And the flame isn't safe either. Attempts to control or recreate it have gone horribly wrong. And the Witch of Izalit accidentally made a world of chaos demons. And Seed the Scaleless, a dragon who betrayed his own kind, went mad chasing immortality. So nothing lasts forever, and everything comes with a cost. If you relight the flame, the world keeps going, but the curse never ends. And if you let it die, the future is uncertain and maybe even worse. And the game doesn't hand you the answers. You find clues in item descriptions, ruins, and broken statues. The Marvel Ruins Universe, aka Earth 9591 in Marvel lore, it is arguably the most horrifying and nihilistic alternate reality in Marvel history, where everything that could go wrong does go wrong. This universe is from a 2-issue comic series called Marvel Ruins, written by Warren Ellis, that presents a grim and horrifying alternate version of the Marvel Universe. It is a dark parody of the original Marvel series by Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross, but instead of celebrating heroism of Marvel's characters, it explores a dystopian world where everything has gone horribly wrong. The story follows a journalist named Phil Sheldon in the 1990s as he travels across a bleak, decaying America, trying to figure out why all these so-called miracles have ended in disaster. And in this world, the very events that granted characters their powers in the main Marvel universe instead result in horrifying consequences. For example, Bruce Banner's exposure to gamma radiation doesn't turn him into a green powerhouse. It mutates his body into a grotesque, pulsating tumor, scarring radioactive flesh that kills nearby onlookers. Mutants are seen as abominations, not the next step in evolution, and the US government hunts them down, massacring them in extermination camps. And Wolverine is shown suffering from uncontrollable, painful tumor-like growths in place of his claws because the adamantium is poisoning his bones and flesh. And Peter Parker, bitten by a radioactive spider, dies a gruesome death when the venom spreads, leaving his body ravaged. And Nick Fury becomes overwhelmed by the bleak state of the world and ultimately takes his own life. And Mystique, whose power involves shape-shifting, is tormented by the personalities of everyone she's ever mimicked, all of which are trapped and swirling chaotically in her mind, driving her insane. And there is no Asgard in this world, only a broken man who claims to be the Norse god of thunder. He is seen as mentally ill, wandering the streets, rambling about lost glory and battles that never happened. So you get the gist. Most heroes are dead or never existed, and the world is left devoid of hope or saviors. And as Phil Sheldon uncovers more of the world's atrocities, he realizes that hope never had a chance to exist in this reality. The governments, corporations, and military forces of Earth systematically destroyed or contained anything that might have led to a superheroic age. And in the end, Sheldon himself falls victim to the horrors he uncovered. The final pages reveal that he has been infected with a deadly mutation. And as he succumbs, he realizes that everything is falling apart. This comic is unnecessarily dark. It's terrible. It focuses solely on everything going wrong in the worst possible ways. It takes the essence of these characters and twists it into something unrecognizably bleak, stripping away any sense of hope or inspiration.